Good day, you're watching Businessworld Live. I'm Danie, Laurel.
And I'm Delos Santos. Here are today's top stories. FDI inflows dropped to a 13-month low in June.
The country's top CEOs expect their companies to rake in higher revenues in the next 12 months, but CEOs warn that corruption may hamper the economy's recovery.
Wearing of face masks in open spaces and non-crowded outdoor areas with good ventilation is now optional, but health experts warn against the non-wearing of face masks in outdoor settings.
And a recent study shows that hybrid schemes have improved the quality of work of employees. We begin our broadcast with the net inflows of foreign direct investments plunging to a 13-month low in the month of June. Now, data from the Bangko Sentral show that FDI inflows dropped by more than 51% to $471 million in June. That's from $971 million a year earlier. This was the lowest monthly FDI inflow recorded since May of 2021. Now, month-on-month inflows dropped by almost 37% from $742 million in May. The BSP said the slip in FDI inflows was mainly due to higher repayments by multinational companies. Now, RCBC Chief Economist Mike Ricafort believes rising inflation and interest rates may have dampened investor sentiment.
A survey of the country's top CEOs show that corruption is believed to be the biggest risk to the economy's recovery from the pandemic. The survey, conducted by PwC Philippines in partnership with the Management Association of the Philippines, show that 67% of CEOs believe corruption is the biggest factor to delay recovery. With this, the country's top executives urge the Marcos administration to prioritize accountability, transparency, and other anti-corruption efforts. Other factors cited in the survey included lower domestic and foreign investments, political uncertainty, uncontrolled inflation, rising oil prices, and lower quality of education. Despite these threats, 87% of CEOs expressed confidence that their companies will post revenue growth in the next 12 months.
It's been a volatile year to say the least, but as companies look forward, risk-on sentiment is starting to creep back in. Is it time for them to reconsider tapping public funds? Here to weigh in on how the bourse is assisting them, we have with us President and CEO Ramon Monzon. Good morning, sir.
I think, sir, you are on mute.
Hi, good morning, Danie.
Good morning. Sir, let's kick off with the IPO and targets. Where are we right now? We, of course, have a couple more that have been announced. Biggest one, Prime Infra, already on the road as we speak. Tell us, given the volatile environment, has the interest in listing, at least this year, been better or worse than expected?
Well, in terms of amount of capital raise, we're obviously, suffering, in comparison to last year where we hit a record high of 234.5 billion. To date, by the end of September, we would have about only 86.1 billion, and we expect another 50 billion. So to date, with the applications we received, our capital raising is only at about 137 billion. But having said that, I think it's good for your listeners to know. On the other hand, at the fixed income exchange, bond offerings are at a record high. Or last year, total bond offerings were only at about 213 billion, and of course the PSE was at 235. To date, by the end of September, PDEX will have a listing of about 384 billion. And they project this to reach about 440 billion by the end of the year. Way above the record of 387 in 2020. So I think I'll wear my PDS hat this morning.
Well, given that, how then is it encouraging more businesses to actually list? And will you still be at least keeping some pandemic assistance? We do understand as well that IPO tax was repealed under Bayanihan 2. Is that going to go back into place now that the law has expired?
No, we will not be extending that particular benefit, the pandemic, concession. what's really affecting I guess, the IPOs. I mean, I had a meeting with some foreign investors yesterday. It's really our foreign exchange.
Okay.
I mean, when our foreign exchange is volatile, I mean, I guess foreign investors perceive a currency risk in addition to the country risk, and so I think a lot of the foreign investors, or even a lot of the companies doing an IPO, will wait until our foreign exchange stabilizes and inflation is somewhat more under control. So that's what's affecting the equities market at the moment.
Okay, I'll get back to you, sir, on the Forex issue a bit later on. But you did mention the record bond listings. But nevertheless, we do see some other types of fundraising, share sales. You have Solar PH, for example. You have Globe doing an SRO. Why exactly are companies still tapping into equities, at least through SROs, with bonds providing, rallying at the moment?
Well, SROs are an inexpensive way to raise capital. Although Globe did reduce their
Correct.
stock rights offering from 32 billion to 17 billion, and I understand that's because their need for funds were greatly reduced when they received some payments for the sale of their towers. So I guess that's the reason they cut the SRO targets by 15 billion.
On the flip side, though, let's talk about the listing companies here. I mean, how has compliance been, at least for some of these firms? What's the record so far? And are we expecting more companies at least to delist, or at least be delisted in the future?
Well, I mean, in terms of number of IPOs, to date, we have already reached the number of IPOs we had for the whole year of 2021. We already have 8. We have 3 more coming up. So in terms of number of IPOs, we will exceed last year's record. But again, we've had 3 SME listings this year. And so when you talk about amount of capital raising, it really, pales in comparison to last year.
Sir, just to clarify Jester's question, he asked, sir, whether any delistings, sir, occurred due to the pandemic.
Non-compliant firms, at least.
The listings did not occur because of the pandemic. We recently delisted 2 companies, and we are in the process of delisting a few more. But that's not because of the pandemic. It's really because they have not been able to comply with the repertorial requirements for some time, like submission of annual reports or quarterly reports. So, that's really the cost.
Normal procedural issues. Okay, sir, you did mention there will not be this pandemic assistance anymore, or at least this will just go on till the end of the year. But you do have a sponsorship model, as I understand. So the LEAP program, what exactly can potential companies that want to go public gain from listing in the PHC at right now? What type of assistance can they receive?
Well, the sponsor model was submitted to the SEC for approval more than 60 days ago. They have not gotten back to us. So under the SRC, we can deem that approved, and we'll probably be coming out with an announcement that, the sponsor model is now in place. But remember, the sponsor model was really established to help SMEs, list in the exchange, because this will be used by companies that have no track record. So it's not the sponsor model is not really for the main board listing. It's for SMEs.
Okay. Now, of course, one of the more major changes that we've had on the bourse this year, of course, a virtual trading floor. How's it going so far? What's the more noticeable changes that at least you've noticed since you've made that transition?
Well, since we ended the physical trading here last June 27, trading has been quite seamless. No, there are no problems. It's not the first time we're going off-site trading. We did this in 2020, and for a much longer period also in 2021. So it's proven that we don't need to have a trading floor to be able to trade in the stock exchange.
Sir, let's go back to your point on the Forex, the weak peso. Give us a feel of the impact that you've really felt based on the foreign direct, not direct investments, but foreign buying in, and how, I mean, what is it going to take? Wow, is there a level of a peso that people are watching? Is it the moves of the BSP that people are watching to be coming back into the local or domestic market?
Well, what the perception basically is that, well, not perception, the reality, our peso dropped, very fast during the year. We started, I think, at about 51, and we flirted at the 58 level with the high at 57. We know that the Federal Reserve will probably increase another 75 basis points for September. So depending on what our BSP does, we could expect a further depreciation of the peso. Again, we'll see how our monetary board and the BSP governor handles the foreign exchange. But what is key is it's not so much the rate as the stability. If if the foreign investors perceive that the rate is already stable at whether it's 56, 59, or 58, but it's stable, then they have more confidence to invest in our market because the currency risk is minimized or mitigated. So it's more not so much the rate as the stability of the rate.
Okay, sir, what about an update on short selling? When you were last on our show, you mentioned that this could somehow mitigate that problem that foreign investors have to come into the market.
Every time you ask me about that, Danie keeps saying, I hope it's going to come out for the last,
What is hampering that, sir? What exactly? Is it procedural? Is it, the
really,
concept of short selling?
There are two things that the regulators have to give. I mean, the SEC, has to give their approval on. One is the accreditation of PDTC as the Securities Buying and Lending Unit to make the short selling available to all, and also for foreign investors to be able to use a foreign collateral. And we've explained this and given presentations to SEC several times. We have not received any nod from them to date. No? But needless to say, we have been following this up persistently.
And now, of course, you have a big event happening this week, Road to IPO. What should we be expecting? What will be tackled?
Okay. Well, the Road to IPO, really, we started that last year. It's going to be a 3-part series. We launched this really to demystify the IPO process, make potential applicants understand that this is not a complicated technical thing. Many companies have gone this route, and more important, companies that have gone this route have really, been able to expand their businesses. So for this event on Thursday, we have 2 index companies that will be participating, or 3. DMCI is in the mid-cap index, and the founding director, EVP and CFO, Mr. Herbert Kotsuni, will be one of the participants. For the 2 index stocks, we have GT Capital Holdings, and the chairman, Mr. Francisco C. Sebastian, will be also participating. And finally, another index stock, JG Summit. The president CEO, Mr. Lance Gokongwei, will be participating. So we have a top-heavy panel to explain to potential IPO companies or applicants that share their journey, their IPO journey, and more important, share how doing a listing or being listed in the market, how it has helped their companies really grow.
Okay, sir, who are you targeting here? Small companies, investors, I'm sure, but how much is the fee for them to attend this event?
Okay, number one, there are no fees. This is free.
Okay.
And we're not targeting small companies, we're targeting all companies that might have, or are entertaining plans or might be curious about the IPO. In the first Road to IPO, we had about more than 300 companies that participated. So we're hoping, again, more companies, the participation will be higher for this year.
Okay, and lastly, what else should we be expecting from the PSE here? What other projects do you have in the pipeline? Any updates as well on the PSE Academy and PSE Easy and other projects that you have?
Well, I mean, our technology initiatives are still on track. We have the PSEC Part 2, which is to integrate the payment. We have the data analytics platform that, we hope to launch before the end of the year. But what is going to be exciting as far as the PSE is concerned, we have tied up with a big payment platform. Well, I mean, if I say big payment platform, I guess everybody will know. It's GCash.
Correct.
GCash and PSE have agreed to tie up, and we will be offering stock trading to the 67 million subscribers of GCash. Of course, we don't expect all 67 million to participate. So we've, it was only last Friday that we finally, agreed on the commercial terms, and we are now doing the technical issues, meaning PSE is going to design a platform for GCash users to be able to invest, directly in the stock market. In addition, because of the, I guess, profile of GCash subscribers, we are also in the process of studying how we can offer or make possible fractional trading in shares, so that more GCash subscribers are able to invest in stocks. So that will be the second step. But in the meantime, we have reached an agreement. The broker that will handle this would be AB Capital.
Okay.
So it's a tripartite agreement among PSE, GCash, and AB Capital.
Do you have a target for that, sir?
To launch this, in other words, by November, GCash subscribers should be able to invest directly in the stock market already.
Wow.
So that's a very big thing. I mean,
very big thing.
Because, the Philippine Stock Exchange was organized in 1927. So you're talking about 94 years, and we only have 1.7 million stock market investors.
Right.
When we were going over the projections of GCash, they project about more than 9 million new investors in 5 years' time. So it's really going to be a game changer in terms of the number of retail investors that will participate in the market.
Very, very exciting there. I mean, bringing it, of course, with your part, your target
Keep us updated on that
inclusivity. So watch out for that. That's November. Meantime, we have, of course, Thursday Road to IPO for free. Anyone can join. Just visit the PSE website or social media accounts for the registration link. Thank you so much for the update, sir. Ramon Monzon, President and CEO.
Thank you very much.
Now let's pause for a quick break, but coming right up after that. The Energy Department is now looking into the forced outages at various power plants in Luzon yesterday.
More of that and other stories when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Businessworld Live here on One News. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. It is official, mask wearing is now optional in outdoor spaces following President Marcos' signing of Executive Order number 3. That's on Monday, September 14th.
Still, some health experts and even the health department caution the public on possible dangers of not wearing a face mask outdoors. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
Executive Order number 3 immediately took effect after it was signed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Monday. But while the new policy recommends that seniors, immunocompromised individuals, and those who have yet to be fully vaccinated still wear face masks outdoors, the policy is not clear when it comes to children. The press secretary explained Marcos Jr. approved the Interagency Task Force's recommendation based on evidence.
He had imposed a condition, and one of that is the establishment of the wall of immunity. Since we are 6% away from that, then it's time.
While EO number 3 stated that the government has already vaccinated up to 93% of the target population, DOH OIC Maria Rosario Vergere maintains it's still better to wear face masks outdoors.
The position of the department is for us to continue the wearing of the face mask still outdoors. But during the interagency task force meeting, several evidences were presented by the other sectors.
The Private Hospital Association of the Philippines shared the same sentiment. The group said that our vaccine immunity is still not enough, since only 23% of the target population has received their booster shots.
The more na dapat tayong mag-mask, no? Kasi yung mga nakadalawang doses lang, alam mo, first and second dose, ay most probably, nag-wane ng immunity nun.
For its part, Malacanang says they are open for feedback and may adjust the health guidelines depending on the impact of the policy in the next few months. But the government remains hopeful that the mask mandate could completely be lifted by the end of the year. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
Motorists can breathe a sigh of relief today as another round of oil price rollback takes effect. Oil companies announced that gasoline prices are slashed by 45 centavos per liter today. Diesel, on the other hand, is cheaper by 1 peso and 45 centavos per liter, while kerosene prices are down 1 peso and 70 centavos.
Meantime, the Energy Department is now investigating the simultaneous forced outages at 7 power plants that affected several areas in Luzon. Now, in a statement, Energy Secretary Rafael Lotilla says the department will verify the cause of the forced outages. It will also validate the condition of transmission lines and the affected plants. This probe comes after the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines declared red and yellow alerts over the Luzon grid, with Monday's forced outages taking more than 3,600 megawatts off the grid. The NGCP assures the public that the Luzon grid will not experience daily blackouts as there is enough energy supply. However, they still warn of the occasional power outages.
And bagamat on paper, matagal na ho namin sinasabi to, on paper sapat ang supply ng kuryente, talagang merong pagkakataon na sabay-sabay ho silang tumitirik na wala sa schedule. Of course, factor rin po yung other side naman, yung sa demand. So kung bigla hong pumalo ang init bukas, or di kaya magkaroon tayo ng di inaasahang spike ng demand, posible rin ho maka-apekto yan sa balance.
A study finds that hybrid work arrangements improved work performance for a majority of employees in the country. According to a study by Cisco Systems, 79% of Filipino employees reported that the quality of their work has gone up under a hybrid setup. That's about 8 out of 10 Filipinos performing better under flexible arrangements. The overall well-being of 89% of the respondents also improved under a hybrid work scheme with less time spent on the commute and more spent on themselves. As a result, 92% or about 9 out of 10 Filipinos say they were pleased to have flexible work arrangements available to them. Less than 30% of employees, however, believe their companies were prepared to transition to hybrid work.
The Trade Department signs a deal with UnionBank and Global Learning Solutions to create a research center for artificial intelligence. Now, the establishment of the research center is part of the Trade Department's initiative to turn the country into an AI center of excellence. The center will serve as a hub where data scientists can collaborate on AI research and development. The research center also aims to support the development of a digital economy as well as capacitate enterprises as they pursue digital transformation.
All right, it's all about digital economy nowadays. And those are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate front today. I'm Jess Delos Santos.
And I'm Danie, Laurel. We are One News, all sides, all the time. But don't go away, we'll give you the latest on the local bourse when Businessworld Live returns. Stay with us.
And you're still watching Business World Live here in One News. Dan, a quick peek at the index after hitting that 4-day high on Monday.
Wala na the 4-day high. Just unfortunately, we've slipped back down to 6,600 levels. We're down by 0.4%. And if you want to just see, taking a step back at where we are year to date, we are, recovering a touch. You can see that upward trend here compared to where we were in the middle of June, but still far away from the 7,500 levels that we had seen on February. Quick peek at our movers here. You can see ASEN leading the charge up by 1.7%, followed by Globe and BPI. So these are, of course, all Ayala stocks. But on the downside, we've got URC, GT Gap, and Aboitiz Power sitting on the corner sidelines here. And finally, just a quick peek on the peso. Weakening a touch, so we're at 56.913, but nevertheless, still good news that we haven't broken back above that 57 levels. We did underperform yesterday, one of the worst in Asia.
Okay, that's something, of course, we continue to keep track of. Again, that's it for today, September 13, 2022. Join us again tomorrow at exactly 9:30 a.m. You can also catch us on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News Live anytime, anywhere. I'm Jess De Los Santos.
And I'm Danie Laurel, mask on indoors and in crowded outdoor spaces, mask off responsibly. Wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News, all sides, all the time.